Tonight, we are stepping back from the daily headlines to look at a hard question. What has Israel actually done across the Middle East and North Africa since the state was formed? And how often has that power been used to destabilize rather than secure the region? From its birth in 1948, Israel has presented itself as a small state under siege. That is a real fear for many ordinary Israelis, but it has also been used to justify repeated wars and cross-border attacks on its neighbors. Within months of statehood, Israel was at war with Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were expelled or fled, becoming refugees across the region. That Nakba is the starting point of a pattern: security for the new state, displacement and dispossession for the people who were already there. In 1956, Israel did not act alone. It secretly joined Britain and France to attack Egypt after Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal and closed the Straits of Tiran. Israeli forces invaded Sinai while London and Paris pretended to act as neutral peacekeepers. The stated reason was freedom of navigation. In reality, it was an old colonial club punishing an Arab country for asserting control over its own resources. The same language of preemptive self-defense returned in 1967. Israel launched surprise airstrikes that destroyed Arab air forces on the ground, then seized East Jerusalem, the West Bank, Gaza, Sinai, and the Golan Heights. The war lasted 6 days. The occupation that followed has lasted more than half a century. Once again, Israeli leaders spoke of an existential threat. Once again, the outcome was territorial expansion and permanent military rule over millions of Palestinians and Syrians. In the 1970s and 1980s, the map of Israeli military action widened. South Lebanon became a laboratory for repeated invasions. In 1978, after a brutal bus attack inside Israel, tens of thousands of troops crossed the border in what was called Operation Litani. Civilian casualties inside Lebanon ran into the hundreds. In 1982, Israel invaded again, this time reaching Beirut, under the banner of pushing the Palestine Liberation Organization away from the border. An entire country was bombed, besieged, and fragmented. The reach of Israeli power did not stop at immediate neighbors. In 1981, Israeli jets flew across Jordanian and Saudi airspace to bomb Iraq's Osirak nuclear reactor. In 1985, they struck the Palestine Liberation Organization headquarters outside Tunis, killing Tunisians as well as Palestinians. The United Nations Security Council condemned that raid as an act of armed aggression against Tunisia. By the late 2000s and 2010s, the battlefield shifted again. Israel began a shadow war along the supply routes that connect Iran, Sudan, Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. Convoys in Sudan were hit from the air. An arms factory near Khartoum exploded. Inside Syria, from 2013 onward, there were hundreds of strikes on suspected Iranian and Hezbollah targets. Officially, these were narrow operations to stop weapons transfers. On the ground, they were part of a permanent low-level war on Syrian soil. Today, Yemen has been added to that list. Israel has carried out airstrikes on Houthi-controlled areas after missile and drone attacks that were framed as solidarity with Gaza and resistance to Western shipping. Once again, a country already shattered by war finds itself on the receiving end of another state's version of self-defense. Across all of this, there is one constant. Each attack is explained as exceptional, necessary, and defensive. Yet when you line them up from Egypt to Lebanon, from Iraq to Sudan and Yemen, a different picture emerges. Israel is not only a state under threat, it is also a regional military power that has repeatedly projected force deep into the Arab and Muslim world, often with impunity, and almost always at a devastating cost to civilians who had no say in the decisions taken over their heads. In part 2, we will zoom in on one man who has shaped this posture more than almost any other Israeli leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, and his decades-long fixation on Iran. This is Sheppard Lens Media. Independent, unfiltered, human. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel.